you mean we're missing $300? Yarden Davis froze mid-step, his brow furrowed as his CFO handed him the latest cash report. He scanned the figures, each number punching deeper into his gut. The deficit wasn't astronomical, but it was the fourth week in a row that Register 3 at Store 17 came up short. The pattern wasn't a coincidence anymore. Store 17, nestled in a crowded strip mall at the city's edge, was just one of the 19 locations Yarden had built over the last 15 years. He remembered sleeping in the back of his food truck, flipping burgers until his hands blistered, dreaming of someday owning more than just a grill and a few folding chairs. Now he had an empire, but one growing too fast for him to hold together with bare hands. District managers filtered reports upwards, but the further they traveled, the murkier they became. Numbers could be spun, stories could be rehearsed, but what couldn't be faked, at least not easily, was a person's eyes when questioned, the way they moved under pressure, the tiny fractures that revealed the truth. Yarden folded the report quietly and slipped it into his jacket. "Don't tell anyone I'm going," he said, voice low but firm. "Get me a new employee file. I'll be a trainee again." 3 days later, Yarden pulled into Store 17's parking lot, driving an old beat-up sedan. The windows didn't roll up all the way, and the heater made a sound like an asthmatic dog. He wore a faded hoodie, jeans that had seen better years, and a battered ball cap pulled low. His beard, usually immaculately trimmed, had been left to grow rough and uneven. His signature black-rimmed glasses had been swapped for wire-thin replacement. Perfect camouflage. No one here would recognize the man behind the empire. He stepped into the store, a bell jingling overhead. A lean man with a buzz cut and one AirPod in waved vaguely in his direction. "You the new guy?" "Yeah, name's Jay," Yarden said, using the name on the fake employee file. "Travis, I run this place," the man said, barely glancing up. "You'll be shadowing Clare. She's on Register 3. Try not to get in the way. We're barely hanging on." Yarden nodded quietly. 2 employees had quit the week before. One mid-shift, the other just vanished. The staff was stretched thin. He noticed Clare right away. Early 20s, quiet focus in her eyes, her hair tied in a no-nonsense bun. Her uniform was spotless, her station immaculate. She greeted every customer with the kind of warmth that couldn't be faked. "Hey, I'm Clare," she said, offering him a glance and a quick smile. "Jay," he replied. "You can just stick by me today. It gets crazy during lunch," she added before turning back to her station. As the lunchtime rush surged in like a tide, Yarden watched Clare move, efficient, kind, patient even when customers snapped. She corrected others' mistakes without complaint. She wasn't just good, she was exceptional. But then, something shifted. Mid-shift, a customer paid in cash. About $27. Claire rang it up, opened the drawer, and then paused. Just for a moment. Her hand moved quickly, subtly. She slipped something underneath the register mat. Yarden saw it. He said nothing. Not yet. By day's end, Travis pulled him aside. "You doing all right, keep showing up, maybe I'll let you solo next week. Claire's solid, a little soft for my taste, but she gets it done." Yarden gave a tight nod, but his mind was already elsewhere. He waited until the store had emptied and found Clare near the back, clocking out. Her shift had left her tired but still composed. "Hey," he said, quietly stepping beside her. "I saw what you did today with the cash." Her face drained of color instantly. "I can explain. I'm listening." Claire glanced around, then led him quietly toward the stockroom. The buzz of the store faded as the door swung closed behind them. "It was $30, she admitted, her voice trembling. "I put it in myself. The drawer came up short, and I didn't want Travis to find out. He's been looking for reasons to fire people. I can't afford to lose this job." Yarden's eyes narrowed, not in anger but in focus. Why was it short? I don't know. I swear I didn't take anything. I count everything, triple count. But sometimes the numbers don't make sense. I thought maybe I made a mistake, so I just covered it. It's not the first time. His stomach clenched. How many times? 3. Maybe 4. I kept the receipts. I can show you. Yarden didn't answer right away. A deep silence fell between them. She wasn't stealing. She was plugging holes in a sinking ship, sacrificing her own paycheck to hold together a crumbling system. And somewhere, someone was letting that ship fall apart on purpose. Yarden gave a slow, thoughtful nod. Okay. Don't tell anyone we had this conversation. Clare blinked, confused. Are you going to tell Travis? No, Yarden said firmly, his voice low but steady. Just keep doing what you're doing. That night, long after the last customer had left and the store lights dimmed, Yarden sat alone in the back office, lit only by the soft blue glow of a computer monitor. With administrative access still intact, he logged into the security system and began quietly combing through the last 2 weeks of camera footage. He didn't want to believe it, but something about Claire's story didn't sit right, and what he uncovered chilled him to the bone. It wasn't Clare. Frame by frame, he saw it. Austin, young, cocky, with bright sneakers and a casual arrogance that clung to him like a second skin. He had a habit of leaving the register drawer open just a few seconds longer than necessary. And twice, Yarden watched him slip small bills into the front pocket of his apron, his eyes darting left and right. And worse, Travis walked by both times, didn't flinch, didn't pause, didn't even look. Yarden leaned back slowly, the worn office chair creaking under his weight. His jaw clenched, heart pounding in the quiet. Clare hadn't been the problem. She was patching holes someone else had punched through. And Travis, he wasn't just blind. He might have been complicit. Or worse, benefiting. Rubbing a hand down his face, Yarden realized this was exactly the kind of rot he feared would spread the moment he loosened his grip on the business. He had a choice. He could walk away, file a report, let corporate handle it. But deep down, he already knew what tomorrow would bring. Confrontation, revelation, and a reckoning. The next morning, he arrived before dawn. A thin veil of fog hugged the pavement, and the parking lot sat in eerie silence. The store lights were off, the air damp with morning dew. Yarden sat in his car, sipping bitter coffee from a flimsy paper cup, his eyes trained on the entrance. 10 minutes past opening, Travis rolled up, late again. He chucked a fast food bag onto his passenger's seat and strolled inside like he owned the world. Inside, Yarden resumed his position beside Clare. She looked exhausted, but unsurprised to see him suited up and ready again. Neither mentioned their conversation from the night before. Sometimes silence said more than words. The morning moved slowly. Regulars drifted in, construction workers grabbing coffee, nurses off the night shift. Yarden kept his focus locked on Austin, who showed up just before opening, phone in one hand, earbuds in, no greeting, no eye contact. He bypassed the time clock entirely until Clare, gently but firmly, reminded him. "Oh, right," Austin muttered, poking the screen like it insulted him. By noon, Yarden had seen enough. Subtle things. Consistent things. Austin always favored register, too. He jumped on cash-only orders, even when it wasn't his turn. And every single time he closed the drawer, he shifted slightly, just enough to block any camera angle. It was masterfully sloppy, the kind of casual theft that relied on apathy from above. But what disturbed Yarden most wasn't the theft. It was how easy it had been for Austin to keep getting away with it. After lunch, Travis called for a quick staff meeting. 4 employees huddled near the utility sink, the air stale with grease and old fryer oil. Travis leaned against a folding table like he was bored. "I don't want to hear another word about register shortages," he announced. "If you mess up, cover it. I'm not dealing with corporate calls over loose change." Claire stood silently, but her shoulders stiffened, arms crossed in quiet resistance. Austin never looked up from his phone. Yarden swallowed the bile rising in his throat. Not yet. One burst of outrage wouldn't fix a broken system. If Travis was protecting a thief, this culture of fear and favoritism had been festering long before Yarden ever walked back through those doors. That night, he stayed late, pretending to help Darnell, an earnest high schooler, clean out the deep fryers. As they worked side by side, Yarden asked gently, "Is it always this slow at night?" "Nah," Darnell replied, wiping sweat from his brow. "Thursdays and Fridays it's packed, line out the door. But we're always short." He hesitated, then added, "Jenna usually picks up doubles. Claire too. She never says no." "You ever tell Travis you need backup?" Darnell let out a bitter chuckle. "Tell him? They'll just tell you to hustle. Last time I asked for help, he cut my hours." Yarden nodded, keeping his voice even. "What about Austin?" Darnell rolled his eyes. "Austin does whatever he wants. Travis likes him. I think they hang out sometimes after closing. I saw them leave in the same car once." That confirmed it. Travis wasn't just blind. He was covering for Austin. Maybe even sharing the take. The next morning, Yarden requested to work the register alone. Travis didn't care. "Fine. Just don't screw anything up." For 3 hours, Yarden handled every transaction with obsessive precision. He double-counted every bill, logged every order, and made sure Austin noticed. When it came time to balance the drawer, the numbers matched down to the penny. Travis barely looked at the sheet. Finally, someone who knows how to count. Yarden said nothing. The trap was set. Later, he casually asked to shadow Austin during the evening shift. "Want to see how the pros do it?" Austin joked. Yarden smiled. "Absolutely." He stayed close, uncomfortably close. Every time Austin tried to shift, to slip away, Yarden was there, watching, breathing down his neck. I closed. The drawer was flawless, balanced, and Austin was fuming. "You always gonna hover like that?" he snapped. "Just trying to learn," Yarden replied, flashing a grin. The next day, Yarden called out sick. But he wasn't home. He was back in the office, poring over a full week of security footage, noting the dates, times, and thefts. He watched Austin steal 4 times, small bills, 5s, 10s, but always calculated, always alone. In one clip, Clare caught him. Her face said it all. Shock, dismay, but she said nothing. She turned back to her station and kept working. That evening, Yarden found her outside on break, sitting quietly on the curb with a granola bar and a bottle of water. He sat beside her without a word for a moment. "You saw him, didn't you?" he asked quietly. Claire didn't respond right away. The silence was heavy. "I can't prove anything," she finally said. "And if I say something, Travis will just say I'm making it up because—" She stopped herself, but she didn't need to finish. Yarden already knew. "I messed up once," Claire said softly, the weight in her voice unmistakable. "He already thinks I'm soft. You think he knows?" Yarden looked at her, the shadows of early evening playing across her face. "No," he said gently. "I think he doesn't care." She looked away, her expression guarded. "Or maybe he's getting something out of it. I don't know anymore. All I know is I'm tired. Tired of trying to fix problems I didn't cause." Yarden watched her in silence, absorbing the exhaustion in her voice. This was more than frustration. It was the bone-deep fatigue of someone who's had to be the glue too many times. "P11 UF?" he asked quietly. She hesitated, then replied, "My brother." He's got seizures, can't be alone too long. I work here in the mornings, evenings at the pharmacy downtown. I can't afford a gap in pay." Yarden nodded slowly, absorbing that. She wasn't just staying out of loyalty, she was surviving. "How long you been here?" 4 years, she said. "Started when I was 19, was supposed to be temporary." A small, tired laugh escaped her lips. "You know how that goes." He did, more than she realized. "You ever asked for a promotion?" "I asked once," she said. "They said they'd think about it." She paused. "That was 2 years ago." Yarden stood, offering a faint smile. "Thanks for telling me." Clare glanced up, eyes narrowing. "You're not just some trainee, are you?" He didn't answer, just turned and walked back inside. The next morning, Yarden arrived 2 hours early. As Travis stumbled in, yawning and unshaven, Yarden pulled him aside. "We need to talk," he said. Travis looked annoyed. "Privately." They stepped into the office, the door shut behind them. "I know what's going on with the register," Yarden said, his voice calm, even. Travis stiffened. "What are you talking about?" "I've seen the footage," Yarden continued. "I've watched Austin skim cash and watched you walk right past it." Travis crossed his arms. "You don't know what you're talking about. You're just a temp." Yarden reached into his jacket and pulled out his real ID, his full name, company logo, executive title shining under the fluorescent lights. Travis stared. His face paled. "You're the—" "Yeah," Yarden said. "I'm the one who signs your paychecks." Travis's mouth opened, then closed again. "I've been here a week," Yarden said quietly, "and in that time I've seen how you run this place, how you threaten the good ones and shield the bad ones." Travis tried again. "Look, you're done here." Yarden stepped out of the office and into the kitchen. Clare was prepping condiments. He called everyone in. Clare, Darnell, Jenna, even Austin. "My name's not Jay," he said once they'd gathered. "It's Yarden Davis. I own this company." Silence. Clare blinked. Austin stepped back. "I came because I heard things weren't right, and now I know they're not." He turned to Austin. "You've been stealing. It's on camera. You're done here. Permanently." Austin looked toward Travis, now frozen in the doorway. "And Travis," Yarden said without turning, "we'll talk outside." Then to the team, "Things are going to change, starting today." 2 days later, Travis sat across from Yarden in a sterile regional office, his polo wrinkled, leg bouncing. Yarden didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. A thick folder sat in front of him. Reports, time cards, screenshots. "You've been running that store for how long?" Yarden asked without looking up. "And you thought it was acceptable to let someone steal cash?" "I didn't know," Travis muttered. Yarden finally met his eyes. "You did. You watched it happen. Twice. And said nothing." "I didn't think he was stealing. I thought it was mishandling or something. I told him to be careful." "You never reported it," Yarden interrupted. "You let another employee pay out of pocket to cover it." Travis leaned forward. "I didn't tell her to." "But you created the pressure that made her think she had to," Yarden said coldly. "You told them they'd be fired for any register errors, then ignored the real theft." He slid a page across the table. "Highest turnover in the region. Exit interviews blame stress, poor leadership, no support." Travis didn't touch the paper. His knee stopped bouncing. "I gave you a stable store. You ran it into the ground, not by accident, but by how you chose to lead." "Are you firing me?" Travis asked. "No," Yarden said. "We're terminating your contract, effective immediately." By noon, Travis was gone. Yarden made sure the transition was quiet, no drama, no spectacle. A regional supervisor stepped in. The next morning, Yarden returned, no longer undercover. The tension in the air was palpable. Claire was restocking condiments when he stepped inside. "Can we talk?" he asked. She nodded, following him to the back. "I wanted to thank you," he said. "Not just for the register, for everything. You held this place together." She didn't speak, her face unreadable. "I know it's been hard," he added. "You shouldn't have had to carry that weight. That's not your job." "I wasn't covering for anyone," she said. "I just didn't want the wrong person blamed." "I know," he said softly. "And I should have been paying more attention. This isn't the company I meant to build." She looked down. "So, what now?" "I want to fix it. I won't get everything right overnight, but I can start by listening. To people like you." She didn't soften completely, but her voice lost its edge. "We're tired. Everyone's tired. It's not just about one thief. It's the pile-up, the silence, the fact that nobody checked in when we were short 2 people for weeks." "I noticed," he said. "Way too late." He handed her a sealed envelope. "What's this?" "An offer. Assistant manager, full-time, salary, benefits, performance bonus. If you're interested." She stared at it, stunned. "Well, me?" "Because you've already been doing the job," he said, "without the title." She held the envelope tightly. "And if I say no, then I'll find another way to support you. I'm not here to pressure anyone, just to fix what I broke." She looked toward the front. "They're still short today. We're gonna need help." He smiled. "I'll stay. I can still run a register." "For the record," she said, almost smiling, "you're probably rusty. Only one way to find out." They stepped behind the counter together. Claire grabbed the headset for drive-through. Yarden took his place at the register. The rhythm was slow at first, but something unspoken clicked into place. Customers came and went, unaware of the quiet revolution behind the counter. Later, Darnell approached. "Hey, the fryer's glitching again. You remember the reset?" Yarden showed him without hesitation. "You really used to do this, huh?" "Every day for 5 years. Still got the grease scars." By mid-shift, the team was moving better than they had in weeks. There were still gaps, but the weight was different. The fear was gone. That afternoon, Yarden gathered them for a quick meeting. No clipboard, no rehearsed speeches. "I'm not here to pretend everything's fixed," he said. "But I want to hear what's not working. From you." Jenna spoke first. "We need more hours covered. I've been working 6 days just to stay afloat. I've got 2 kids." Darnell added, "The fryer's been acting up for months. We've sent requests. Nothing happens." Yarden nodded. For once, they weren't speaking into a void. They were being heard. Claire didn't speak. She simply listened, arms crossed, eyes steady. Yarden, sitting with the team in the dimly lit break room, didn't pull out a laptop or tablet, just a simple notepad and pen. There was something grounding about writing it by hand, about showing the team they were worth slowing down for. When the meeting ended, the others dispersed, but Yarden lingered behind. He wandered into the stockroom, not because it needed cleaning, but because the solitude gave him space to think. This had never been about one broken register or one bad manager. It was a warning, an echo in the walls of a growing system that had started to forget its foundation. When the people at the top stop looking beneath the surface, things rot from the inside out. He had let distance turn into disconnect. That evening, he called his operations director. A full-scale audit was ordered. Employee feedback, communication pathways, district manager oversight, all of it. Every store would now have rotating check-ins, anonymous reporting channels, and a direct access system that bypassed filters and spin. It wouldn't be fast, but it would be real. Culture didn't shift with memos. It shifted when leaders showed up. As he stepped out into the parking lot that night, Claire was locking the front door. She didn't say a word, just gave a small nod. Not warm, not distant, just steady. It wasn't the end of anything. It was the beginning of something that might, with time, actually heal. 3 weeks passed. Travis was gone. Austin's termination confirmed. In their place, a leadership rotation began. Temporary managers from better-performing locations rotated through Store 17, each bringing a fresh pair of eyes. It wasn't perfect. Each had their own rhythm, and some didn't quite sync. But the tone inside the store shifted. Accountability returned, like air into a sealed room. Claire accepted the assistant manager role, but only after negotiating a flexible schedule to care for her brother. Yarden didn't flinch. In fact, he rewrote company policy to formally protect caregiver responsibilities across all locations. That change would never have happened if he hadn't gone undercover. One afternoon, he returned unannounced. No briefcase, no staff, just a gray windbreaker and a to-go coffee in hand. Claire was on a ladder in the back, restocking shelves. She turned, eyebrow raised. "Thought you were off the grid this week." "I was," he said, stepping inside. "Flight got cancelled. Thought I'd make the day count." She climbed down, setting her box cutter aside. "We're gearing up for back to school. Orders are already up 12%. I saw you adjusted the par levels." "Had to. Jenna flagged it last week. Ran out of wraps during peak." He raised a brow. "She caught that herself?" "She's been tracking tighter since we started rotating shift leaders." They moved into the walk-in cooler, breath visible in the cold. She ticked boxes off on a clipboard. "You still down 2 heads?" he asked. "Yeah, hiring's frozen until corporate lifts the regional cap. We're managing." "Barely." "You okay?" "I'm fine. Not pulling 12-hour doubles anymore. That helps." "Anyone else near burnout?" "Darnell," she said, lowering her voice. "He's been quiet, shows up, works, but it feels like he's bracing for something." Yarden nodded. "He's young, probably used to adults making promises and disappearing." A silence passed between them, thick with shared fatigue. "What happens when the new manager starts?" she asked. "You already picked someone?" He nodded. "Internal candidate from Store 9. Name's Lacey. She's not another Travis." Claire didn't move. "And if she is," Yarden added, "I'll deal with it personally." "You planning to go undercover everywhere now?" He chuckled. "No, but I'm building a team that will. Quiet audits, real observation. No more polished reports with rot underneath." She nodded slowly. "Would have saved us a lot." He didn't argue. They stepped out of the cooler and passed Darnell, who was slicing bread silently at the prep station. Claire paused. "You good on that stack?" she asked. He nodded. No words. She waited a beat, then moved on. At the front, the energy felt tighter, smoother. Orders matched receipts. Registered drawers closed with certainty, but underneath it all still lingered the fatigue, the kind that doesn't disappear after one good week. "I'm rotating back to mornings next week," Claire said as they watched the line thin. "Jenna's been covering too many early shifts." "She won't say anything?" "She never does. She'll work until she breaks." "Have you told her you see that?" Claire didn't answer. But she didn't push back, either. Later that night, after the dinner rush had faded, Yarden sat with Darnell at a corner table. The young man looked uncertain, arms folded tight. "You got a minute?" "Yeah." "You know I wasn't who I said I was, right?" Darnell shrugged. "It didn't bother me. You showed up, did the work, even with all the mess. I get that you need the job, but you've been quiet. I just don't know if it's real. The change, I mean. I've seen managers talk big, then vanish. Good people burn out. I'm not asking you to believe overnight," Yarden said. "I'm asking that when something's wrong, you say it. You don't have to fix it. Just speak it. Darnell's posture eased. Claire does that. She shouldn't have to do it alone. Darnell nodded once and stood. I'll think about it. Yarden watched him walk back to the kitchen. No promises, just a seed planted. The next morning, Yarden met Lacey at a nearby cafe. Mid-30s, sharp-eyed but grounded. Known for high standards and low ego. This team's been through a lot, Yarden said. I don't need someone to come in swinging. I need someone who can rebuild trust. I read the file, she replied. I know what happened. Reading it and living it are different. I know. My last store had its own version. Different story. Same damage. He studied her for a moment. Why'd you apply? Challenge, she said, and the chance to prove I can lead without burning people out. That was enough. Lacey started the next week. For the first 10 days she changed nothing. Just observed, listened, took notes. Then she pulled Clare aside. I'm not here to take over, she said. I'm here to make your job easier. Clare raised a brow. That right? You've been keeping this place afloat, I see that, not ignoring it. No smile from Clare, but she gave a short nod. Then we might be okay. Within 2 weeks, small things began to shift. Lacey reinstated a 15-minute overlap between shifts, something Clare had once suggested to Travis and been dismissed for. She ensured team meetings were paid time, no more staying late for free. Then, one Friday evening, Darnell tapped her on the shoulder mid-shift. Side cooler's acting weird again. Clary said it was fixed, but it sounds the same. Lacey nodded. Thanks. I'll call maintenance. He blinked. Just like that? You reported it. That's what matters. He walked off, shoulders visibly lighter. 1 month after Yarden's undercover shift ended, he returned again, not to inspect, just to watch. The line was steady. Claire trained a new hire on the register. Leslie was reviewing inventory with Jenna. Darnell was wiping tables without being asked. Yarden stood quietly near the back. No one asked why he was there. They were too busy doing what needed to be done. Outside, the sky was golden with sunset. He stepped into the evening air and glanced back at the storefront. Same sign, same logo. But inside, it was different now. Stronger. Not because of rules or consequences. Because someone had listened, and then acted. As he walked to his car, a mother and her young son passed him on the sidewalk. The boy pointed excitedly through the glass. The mother smiled and held the door open. Yarden smiled to himself and kept walking, hands in his pockets, already thinking about the next store.